There we go.
Welcome to the Boys of Spring, week 5. It's episode 4, week 5.
Week 5.
And I am on a vengeance tour right now. I am owed so much money from last week.
Luis Perez I think owes us a lot of money. That guy's he owes us.
That organization as a whole owes me the most.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
I've gone 3-1, and both of those ones were the Renegades.
Yeah, there you go.
But last week was, in my opinion, it was the first time where, like, even like after, sometimes when you're done and you lose a bet, let's say for example, like the Stallions, they're -9.
Right.
They deserve to be that, right? And sometimes when you take a bet at the end of it, you're like, okay, I could see why maybe I should have been on the other side.
Sure. Yeah.
In these UFL games, I don't feel that way. Like the Roughnecks versus the Renegades last week, like the Roughnecks have the worst passing defense in the entire league, going up against the best quarterback when it comes to passing yards.
Theoretically, the best quarterback.
Yeah, right. Like there's just no way I can take the Roughnecks in that position based on strengths.
And then they're both 0-3. Like somebody has to win, and you would think the former champion, of the league last year would have something to say about something, and unfortunately they don't. You know, they really wasn't even close.
Yeah, like right now, hey, maybe it's time to turn it on. You know, like they did last year. They started off the same way.
Yeah,
and then they just could not turn around this year.
Right. So unless there's some kind of magical, that Michael Jordan secret sauce, they got to figure that out. It's halftime. Let's get going.
And then the Stallions, they don't cover. They start off the game looking great. Again, this 2-quarterback system that they're running between Martinez and Corral.
Yeah, garbage. They didn't even use Martinez, I don't think.
No, now they're swapping between each game.
So Martinez is this time.
Martinez should be the starter today.
That's dumb.
Based on what Holt said, that's what they're going to do. So he did this in the first year when he had Magoo and the other guy, Jabari, I think his name is like Smith, had them running back and forth like that too. And they won the championship. So, yes, it does work out well. But right now, if you look, the MVP race has both Martinez and Corral in the top 5. Imagine if they just ran with Martinez.
Yeah, he's the better option.
100%. We saw that last week when they fumbled twice in the red zone.
Right. Yeah, I know. That's what I was going to say. I mean, there's a lot of turnovers from both teams, and they fumbled on like the 3. They had a lot of big fumbles, and then like the rain didn't do any long delay. The weird come out of halftime and let's pretend it's halftime, kind of thing. Afterwards,
right.
And then they couldn't really do. There's no adjustments after that, so that certainly sucked. Really weird to see that. I mean, and you had texted me about it. You're like, this is not okay.
When the league does stuff like this, it makes it feel like gimmicky.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I got a message like halfway through. So, for example, the lightning delay went into effect with like 1:53 left in the second quarter. I got a message stating, hey, the rain delay is going to be considered halftime. What are we doing? What do you mean? So they're going to come out, they're going to play 1:53, and then they're just going to immediately carry over.
Right. Yeah. Right. See, I thought by reading that, I thought it was they're 15 minutes. I thought they were gonna have like a 16-minute
53-minute quarter.
That's what I thought. And I was like, oh no. And then then it's like, oh, okay. Like we're gonna just like nothing happened, play this, and then pretend that it's halftime.
Well, that's how they made it sound. That's how they made it sound that's how it was going to be. But all last week, I mean, it was bad. You got the Memphis Showboats, who I felt great about against the Battlehawks, are hanging in. I mean, they're down 3. They're going back and forth with AJ McCarron. Case Cookus looks good. And then Case Cookus absolutely gets decapitated again. It's like his best skill is to get hit ugly.
Right.
The guy gets hit violently.
I forget who they announced was starting. But I certainly remember the name. I feel like I made a note of it. I'll have to look.
If it's I didn't look at that, but I just figured it was that kid that came in for Cookus last week, and I cannot take them.
Right.
I think his name is Williams. I cannot take them.
Yeah, that sounds right. I thought I had it written down, but I missed it.
No, I mean, he came in, and at that point, I really believed, like, hey, we're going to cover. And then once he came in, I quickly realized, like, somebody in the chat said, yo, if Case is hurt, we're cook us.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
We are cooked.
And then they didn't, and then they didn't have much going on after that.
Yeah. All right, so like let's start it off. Let's start off with the first game that I'm excited about. The Renegades owe me money, and I'm collecting today. But I'm not taking a side. I can't. Okay, Luis Perez, I can't trust him. Averaging over 200 yards a game, and then last week comes out and drops 144. Can't be trusted.
Right. Yeah.
Against the worst passing defense in the league. And
he had 80 before that last drive started.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if he wouldn't have gone down the field, it would have been a little scary.
It looked so bad.
Yeah.
They looked so bad.
Yeah, definitely.
But with that being said, we're going to trust Luis Perez here.
Right. But I mean, it's to the point of like, it's like you got to play the matchup, just like in the NFL, just like in college football, anything like that. Anytime you're on props, you have to play the matchup. If you're going to take a running back and with a 2 touchdown favorite, more than likely that guy's not going to have a quarterback, on the reverse side. But if you were, running back. Yeah. Cause no, I'm totally turned around. Anyway, a running back is going to get more yards in passing. I meant the quarterback. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, you undermeant what I stood. But anyway, though, in this situation, though, with the assumption that the Renegades are continuing to struggle, they're continuing to play from behind. I mean, that's why the man leads the league in passing yards because they're constantly playing from behind, and they're constantly trying to like go down the field in the fourth quarter or having some of these like magic, I don't know if they've had a 4th and 12 type game or not for them, but
I believe they've had 2 4th and 12s done on them.
Yeah. So, I mean, they were known for their defense last year. Their defense was their offense last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's just going to be in a situation, I think, where he's going to be playing from behind and the need to pass. And I mean, they don't have a notable run game really anyway. So, I mean, I think, we both think that he's going to be, once we saw that they're like, hey, there's props on ESPN Bet, and then you're looking today and it's like, oh yeah, like that number's too small.
Yeah. Sure. So, I mean, here, I feel like the Brahmas can pull this one out, but because of my recent history, anytime I've taken the Renegades, I've actually there was a time when they were up 19-3 and they lost 20-3 with like 4 minutes left in the game.
Right. That's wild.
So I cannot take the Renegades, so I'm going to have to collect a different way.
Yeah.
I personally believe that this game is going to be a game that goes over the total. 42.5. I think that this one's going to go over it. You got Luis Perez, and you got the kid that came in for Chase Garber's Dormandy. Yeah. I mean, he looked good last week. He's averaging like 7.4 yards per throw, which is up there with the top of the league.
Yeah. 270 yards last week.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have to I'm taking the over. I like the over here. If I were to choose a side, I would choose the Brahmas. But the moment I do that, the Renegades win outright. I'm not. But if I were, I think the Brahmas win.
Right. And then that's where I had. I mean, like my main note was fade the Renegades. But I mean, when you think about it, and then I mean, to touch on, even just now, I went through and looked at every game. Let me scroll back up to my notes here. There was 16 field goals. They made 14 of them. So I mean, they continue to have like these just really high, hit rates on field goals, which is just going to turn into more points. We talked about, almost being within field goal range because of how important special teams are. Like these kick returns. I mean, they're starting, in plus territory. They're able to hit, they're hitting these field goals really well, which is just ultimately going to turn into more points. And it feels like it's still like a passing league. I mean, you don't have really any dominant running backs. The defenders last year had Smith, then he got hurt, and then that run game kind of went out the window for the most part. But I mean, I'm with you. I would say if I had to pick a side, it would certainly be the Brahmas.
Yeah.
Minus 130 in the money line, -2 on the spread, solid. But with how well Dormandy threw the ball, and then the expectation that Luis Perez continues to be a halfway decent quarterback like he has been, I think the over is good for sure. Good.
Yeah, and we already put the play on Twitter where we're collabing on the Luis Perez yards. We're going to take him over the 190.5. I just feel like, after last week, 144, the Brahmas defense gives up an average of 190.75 yards. And Perez, like I said, he went 290, 233, and 214. He's averaging 220 a game, even with the 144 thrown in there.
Right.
Just
190. Yeah. Seems small. I mean, that's why they're not offering props, because it's really hard to, gauge. There's not like a huge market. I'm sure they don't have the same, NFL college football minds, putting these props together.
Yeah.
I've only really seen on ESPN, I think, which is certainly, I mean, a bit of a lower level book anyway. It's a newer book, so I feel like it's a heck of an edge, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, you can even see that. I don't know. I feel like they drew this number essentially from like what the Brahmas defense gives up. If they give up an average of 190.75, which I mean, I did the math on my own, and then you look and his number is 190.5.
Yeah, right.
I mean, this is where we're pulling numbers from.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense.
So I'm gonna side with the Brahmas, the over, and I'm gonna take Luis Perez, to be able to throw the ball around the yard. And then next up, both of these games once again are at 7:00. This league makes 0 sense, so they clearly don't mind battling on the TV rights with the national championship for college basketball, the Masters, but God forbid do they battle with the 6th round of the NFL draft.
Do you think that's what it was? That's why I was just kind of racking my brains. Like, there was NBA on early today at 1. So, I mean, maybe that's what it was. The Dodgers were on. I don't know if they were on TV or not, but it's a bummer, unless you're like, somebody like you or somebody else, and you're watching on your TV and then you're watching on your phone or a second TV or something like that. You got to flip, even if they're both on, even if they're both on national TV. I mean, I don't even know.
Well, they tried to screw us last week, but the lightning delay helped us out. So we got to watch both games on a single TV. Yeah.
That's
so. Sure. Let's move to the next game at 7:00 again. I don't know which one you guys will get. That'll all depend on, I guess, where you're located. We got the Birmingham Stallions at the Houston Roughnecks. Once again, the Stallions are a touchdown favorite at -7.5. Jort, what's your thought here?
Yeah, I mean, it's with the this UFL, there's unfortunately there's just no football numbers. So it's like you look at the number and you want to be cautious of the hook or whatever. But I mean, I don't think I am. I mean, the Stallions have been so good, and we talked about the mistakes they had. Like they should have scored, but they fumbled on the end zone. I feel like they had like a kickoff or something. They had
2 fumbles in the red zone.
They had all kinds of just dumb stuff happen. So I mean, and if it's true or they utilize Adrian Martinez, further, I feel like they just got to open their eyes and see that he's going to be the better option there. But -7.5. I mean, we were perfectly fine running the 9 the other day. The Roughnecks, realistically, they have a win because you had 2 unbeaten teams going against each other. Like somebody had to get it. They're a win by default kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I'd feel pretty comfortable. And as far as the total, like I wouldn't even probably mess with it. I mean, I don't know if you had a read on it or not, but I mean, like the Roughnecks have struggled to score. The Stallions, it's more so how many points they're going to score, which just all points towards take the spread.
Yeah, so for me, two things as far as the total. Reed Sinnett is kind of hard to get a read on at quarterback now, so I'm not really sure like what to really think there. And then Mark Thompson's back, right? But their offensive line is bad, and the Stallions' defense is the best in the league, and they give up an average of 13 points per game. So if I were to like lean some way, it would be towards the under, but Adrian Martinez can get this offense rolling. And I would imagine that after last week, Skip Holtz is going to have, Lou. Skip is going to want this offense to start moving. And I think Martinez wants to go out and prove that he is the guy. Yeah. Like this offense looks better with him. I would take the under though. The 7.5, I feel 100% comfortable with. They should roll. Now I looked at props and I can't comfortably. I mean, CJ Marable is sitting here, and from everything I've seen this week is that he's inactive for this game. Yet ESPN Bet still has him at an over under for 41.5.
Yeah, that's another downside. That just like, I mean, I say it a lot. Like I've been on college baseball, and like there's just no information, and in college, I mean, college football is the same way. I mean, there's times where like I'm watching Twitter and I'm on like beat writers and people are like taking a picture of the field and like he's out there, but he doesn't have pads on. We don't know if he's a star quarterback. I mean, I forget the guy from Carolina. They were doing that, for the longest time. But same thing. I mean, there's not fantastic reads on some of this stuff, and then that's where like you got books kind of like trying to get into the prop market, and we'll see if they don't get burned and stop. Here
it's just started with the quarterback props last week, and now we're getting a little bit, but they only give you one team.
Really?
I did
notice that.
Well, that's not true, I guess, because they gave me CJ Marable, but he's out.
Yeah.
But
then if you look at like the Battlehawks, they don't give you they only gave you like 8 men, I think. But then there's like a full complement, So it's like it is a little risky even because you don't get all your options, unfortunately.
Yeah. They make sure that they're minimizing as much risk as possible.
Right.
All right, so tomorrow we are actually getting 6 props into tomorrow's game at noon, which is great. They're giving us both quarterbacks. They're giving us 2 wide receivers, and they're giving us 2 running backs. That game, I think, in my opinion, is going to be absolutely electric. I am taking the over. That's my favorite play in that game. DC Defenders have also never, ever, since spring football, and they've been, around, have not lost at home. As much as I like the Battlehawks, I think a play at plus 140 on the money line for the Defenders is live and well, and it's breathing.
Yeah, I mean it's not bad. I don't know, like I'm so torn on it. I mean, the first thing I did was write down Battlehawks.
Yeah,
I do like them. And the defenders have really struggled. But one point that I had, you have like the DC Defenders and the Battlehawks who have true home field advantage.
Yeah.
So how are the Battlehawks going to do when they're used to that screaming for themselves? They're not used to having that on defense. This is the first time that they're out of like maybe that comfort zone or whatever. I don't know if that's going to be an issue. I know they're rowdy there. But ultimately, after, looking at everything, the over just makes a ton of sense. And of course, it's the biggest over on the board, at 46.5. That over in the Battlehawks game last week, I mean, should have just flown over. And then here we are sweating into the fourth quarter. And luckily they had this breakaway run that got them into field goal range that ultimately turned into a touchdown. But without that like 40-yard run, I mean, we may have been in trouble on the over. And over that started with like 30 points in the first half or quarter dang near, So like
it's 27, I think, 27 in the first quarter.
It
was a spring league record of like 17 points by the Battlehawks in the first quarter.
17-6. And then it was there was 37 points at halftime, and our over was like 42 or something like that. Like it was just
45 and a half, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so like it's just the Battlehawks have a good defense and they have a bad defense. They do a good job of like creating turnovers, which then turns around and turns into points. But if they're not creating a turnover, it doesn't seem like they're really getting a stop. They play a little bit of like a bend or don't break, and they ultimately do give up points. But unless they're turning the ball over, they don't have a lot of like impactful plays, which obviously is going to allow. And the DC Defenders, you have to think that they're going to wake up eventually. Teamu was, fantastic. Obviously, ultimately losing to, Perez, but right.
No, they lost to the Stallions.
Oh, I'm thinking like the championship last year.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, so last year he was fantastic. This year, not quite there. Missing guys high, whatever. Maybe we're finally getting home. We're getting into a groove. I don't think I could pick a side, and that's why, I think I like the over because I think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, I like the over, and I think the only way that the Defenders can win this game is by keeping up with the Battlehawks. I don't think we'll get what we had last week with like that hot start. I think it's going to be one that, creeps over that total. But I mean, just to give you an idea, the Battlehawks, the last couple of games, it's been 49 total points, 55, 51, and then 34 was week 1. What I can say there is if you go back and look, everything outside of Memphis Showboats with the backup quarterback getting thrown in, they've been close games, which means that these teams have had to score and keep up. And one of them were the Renegades.
Right.
Who lost by, I believe, 3 points. So I like the Defenders to hopefully continue this streak going, which is, one of the best streaks it is the best streak in spring football. And that crowd is awesome.
Yeah.
So I like the defenders money line. I love the over. And I mean, I didn't dig too far into props here, but let's see where they have AJ McCarron at. Cause last week, somebody pointed it out here in the chat. See, now they have him fixed. Last week he was at like 180. Today for tomorrow, he's at 242 and a half.
I saw him pretty high.
Yeah.
That's pretty high.
So what I would do is, let me tell you, Jacob Sailors is the number one rusher in the spring league. I really like him. The Battlehawks have proven that they can't really stop an offense. I would be taking Sailors. That's Jacob Sailors for over 40 and a half tomorrow if you want to take a prop.
Yeah, that seems pretty low. I don't know what he averages, without looking or anything like that, but they have had a good run game.
Yeah, I think he has a total of like 173 at the moment. It's nothing crazy, but he's really, really, got on his horse the last couple of weeks and, been able to push the.
Yeah, especially in a game that could very well be close, depending on who has the ball at the end. I mean, if DC's up and they have the ball, they can be trying to milk it at the same time, which will be beneficial for rush yards, obviously.
Yep. But only 40 and a half. We really just need one good bust, break off, and we're good. Also, to remind you guys, anyone who is listening live, feel free to put any of your questions or comments in the chat, and we can look up any information that you guys have or give you guys our opinion. Last week, we had a few good ones that we were able to answer. All right.
Got us on props because we didn't know they existed.
Yeah, I wasn't even looking on ESPN, but I figured, if FanDuel would be one to have it because they have the Canadian Football League, but that was just not the case.
Yep.
All right, we got our final game tomorrow at 3 p.m. and we'll go over that before we cook up our Boys of Spring parlay. This one has to hit because I'm so tired of the way that we lose.
We've been getting close.
Yeah. So we got the Michigan Panthers versus the Memphis Showboats. The Panthers are plus 1.5. I don't know what's up with Case Cookus. I don't know if they've said that he's coming back or not, but let me tell you right now, if he is not, I'm all over Panthers. Money line, straight up. I don't care how they looked last week. I am taking the Panthers.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain I saw that he's not playing.
Yeah, I'm taking the Panthers.
Yeah, which, kind of the same way for me, but I like.
Go ahead.
I like the under.
You like the under.
I was hesitating to say it because I know you're not a fan.
Yeah.
This is the lowest under on the board, but you have no EJ Perry as well for the Panthers, if I'm not mistaken.
They got Etling. Etling.
Yep. So he's out. He was the fourth leading rusher in the league. The Showboats stopped the run at the third best rate. However, they don't have that leading rusher anymore. So they're going to struggle to run with the ball because he was primarily their leading rusher as the quarterback.
Yeah.
Without Perry, I think like I said, I think they struggle. Showboats offense hasn't really been great either, and they are scoring the second least amount of points this season. So you lost Perry, who has been like the spark to the offense, and then you have the Showboats who are already scoring the second least points in general. The under just makes sense. You essentially have two back. Realistically, we are 5 weeks in, but all of these guys are essentially trying to find. None of them are essentially backups at this point. They're all even still trying to find their role. Each of them could be pulled out, at any moment, kind of for the most part. I don't outside of like AJ McCarron. That's like a true, like number one quarterback. But these guys do feel like backups. And the under. I think the under feels good.
In my opinion, Case Cookus had the opportunity, had he been with the right team, to be a bona fide star in this league, because that kid was tough. I'm telling you, if you go and you look at some of these hits on him, you're like, I can't believe he's getting back up. Right. They had to go to him at one point and they had to tell him, like, listen, if they score here, we're pulling you. There was like still the entire fourth quarter. He's just like, I have to protect you. Right. Dude is just getting, the Stallions were just killing him.
Yeah. Yep.
Killing him.
I remember
so surprisingly, I like the under here too.
There you go.
Okay, because what I saw from the backup Williams in the Showboats last week, when he came out, he looked like it was so bad. The moment he came out, second play that he had, I knew it was done. This offense was going nowhere. He's scared. He doesn't understand what's going on. He can't process the information quick enough. We were done. We were cooked. The Panthers with Etling, while they do look a little bit better than EJ Perry when they had EJ Perry, the Panthers only exploded offensively one time all year so far. They have a great defense. You and I, we love Nakua.
Yeah.
Right?
Solid
player. Right. So I love the defense. The Panthers have scored 28 54, which was when they exploded, then
Right.
33 and 34. I mean, that's what their totals have been. The Showboats now that they had 49, 47, 39, and 30. I'm still going to roll with the under, especially with Case Cook is out. I can't go off of what the Showboats have done as of late. And let's see if I see any props here, like just going off of the information that I know off the top of my head. Yeah, right now it has Case Cook is out there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's not playing.
If he does, that does change things a little bit because I do like Case Cook a lot. The kid's tough. He can run. So it depends on if Case Cook is playing. I would still go with the under. If Case Cook is playing, I feel like I may take the Showboats, but he's got to be banged up. Even if he plays, he's got to be banged up.
I mean, even just like a quick Twitter search, it says Showboat starting quarterback for Week 5, Michigan Panthers will be Troy Williams. Case Cookus will be QB2. So maybe he's available to play.
Okay, they just must be like, dude, like we cannot protect you at all.
Right.
Like the hits weird. I have seen have been so violent. Like you're just like, I don't know how there's not some sort of flag on here. Like the guy is getting killed. I mean, not that I have a problem with there not being flags. It's just like they look so violent. You're not used to seeing it in the NFL or college. Right.
Man, I don't wonder though. Like, I got my wheels turning, but like, man, what if an under on Case Cookus isn't a bad idea? If he doesn't play, it voids. But if he comes in and takes a snap,
yeah, I mean there is definitely there's strategy to that for sure.
But
Williams looks so bad, just looks so terrible. Yet the game's like, I don't know, like 7-0, and they're just like, you know what, Cookus, get in there, let's see what you can do. Goes in, gets like decapitated first play, boom, we're good to go, we win. He'll be healthy, just not for the rest of the game.
Or I mean, doesn't he play the full game though? I mean, like, so like, you know, obviously it makes it harder to get the under. I don't know. I mean, I probably wouldn't do it, but it makes sense though.
No, there's an angle there for sure. Like that.
I mean, you do it in the NBA, like somebody's coming in and like they've been banged up and he's going to try to start. And it's like, you know, somebody's Anthony Davis that's used to, you know, getting hurt.
Kawhi.
Yeah. Right.
Kawhi.
Yeah. And you know, he's not going to last very long.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So like, let's do it. Let's do the Boys of Spring parlay. I'm looking forward to this. So if you're on ESPN Bet, you can actually put together the lines and the totals. On FanDuel, you can just choose one play from the game. So I've been, you know, enjoying putting in like 2 just for fun, just to see what we can do out there. So I'm going to take the over in the, or actually, let's just take the Perez. You want to take the Perez over 190.5 in this parlay?
Just for that line?
Yeah, just for that game. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Stallions, I mean, I feel like you got to take the 7.5.
Yeah.
What do you want to do with the Battlehawks? I mean, we both love the over. What do you want to do there?
I would say over.
Okay. And then this Panthers Showboats. I mean, I guess, are we taking the under?
I mean, it's a gross game.
It's so gross.
But I mean, like, hey, you usually don't play unders. So the fact that me and you were both thinking under, I mean, that's a pretty good correlation or whatever.
All right. So on here's the best part. On ESPN Bet, it's 9.99.
There you go. It means something.
Okay. Right? So I am going to take that. So once again, let me just roll out the plays for you guys. For tonight's games, it's Luis Perez over 190.5 passing yards. Then we have the Stallions literally just like went black. Okay.
Yeah, did on FanDuel just now too.
Okay, so something must have happened. I don't know.
Ty, you hit your mic. Hold on. Anytime you touch that back, it seems like you.
Oh, am I good?
You're back now.
Okay. All right. So it's the Luis Perez over 190.5 passing yards. The Stallions, I'm taking them. I don't care what it is. Then we're going to take the Battlehawks. That game, we're going to take over 46.5. And then the Michigan Panthers versus the Showboats, we're going to be taking under 40. I don't know what's going on with the Stallions game. There's no plays available. There's player props. Just the lines must be changing. ESPN is so janky.
Yeah, I was trying to. I mean, like I said, unfortunately, there's not breaking news. So, like, you try to go to. When this normally happens, you could search a team and go to latest on Twitter, and it's going to tell you, you know, X, I guess, to say the right thing. But it's going to tell you what's going on.
So why don't we do this? Because not everyone is on ESPN Bet. So they're not going to be able to take the Luis Perez yards. What should we have them take with that?
I mean, I think we both like the over.
Okay, so the Stallions changed to 8.5.
It's whatever.
Yeah. I mean, we're still taking that, right?
I mean, we liked him at 9 the other day.
Yeah. Just that's crazy. Oh yeah. I mean, whatever. Over 46.5, and then we're taking the under 40. Oh, it doesn't let you combine these, I guess. Oh, never mind. It does. Okay. So it came to plus 1061. Now, if you don't have Perez, what do you want to take?
For which one?
So the Brahmas Renegades. Like if somebody isn't on ESPN Bet, say they're using FanDuel or DraftKings, they're not going to have a player prop. So to give them, a 4-leg parlay, what do you think?
Oh, that's one we just said over, right? Or were we talking about a different game?
No, that's the one we were talking about.
Yeah, over.
Okay. All right. So that one comes to plus 1,100 on ESPN Bet. Obviously,
like you confused me, though.
I confused you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You making one with props and one without? Is that what's going on?
Well, one with the prop because not everyone has ESPN Bet. And that's the only place Luis Perez is available.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give an alternate if somebody doesn't have ESPN Bet, what should they take in that game that we're using Perez for? So we're taking the over.
Gotcha.
And that's 0.5 units on all those. And that's the show. I'm telling you, we are collecting because they stole money from us last week. I'm getting all of it back.
Right.
That's all I got to say.
Right. So if you want to see those, the picture of the parlays, Ty will post them. I wasn't putting it together. I got a baseball game that I want to get to. This Mexico City game. I'm excited to see what's going to go on. There's going to be 15 home runs in it, hopefully. But at Live Joe Bets, I'll make sure I share it. So a lot of you guys are probably following me on there. You can, I'll make sure I retweet it from Ty. Ty, what's your Twitter handle again?
At Ty the College Guy.
There you go. So make sure you follow Ty. If you're at least following me, I'll make sure I retweet it when he posts it, and we'll get in there. If you are in the Discord and you're watching, we'll make sure we have it in there, of course, as well, so you guys can see it there. Also, Ty, do you have any last thing? We haven't not as active of a day, but I mean, it's like beautiful where I'm at. So some days we're gonna have a lot of people watching. Some days, people are busy with the weekends. In my area, have a really nice little day out there. So a lot of people are probably out there touching grass, whereas we're here in front of the computer screen, real quick.
Yeah, it's 50 degrees here, so it's cold.
Yeah, it's nice for where I'm at. I almost got a sunburn.
Yeah. So let's go. Enjoy the games tonight. I hope we're making some fans out of the UFL.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you guys, and we will see you guys back for week 6 of the Boys of Spring. Let's win some money.